Yum, yum!
Greg here from Pixel Fondue. This is the final model we're going to be making in this tutorial. I've divided this up into about 7 different half-hour sections. I know that's a lot, but like a half hour at a time is plenty. And so I usually get through one or two of these, maybe 2 of these components per session. Altogether, it's like a day. So like if you're really just learning plasticity and you want to spend a day doing a tutorial series, this is a good one for you. Keep in mind that the source files for this will be available on the Pixel Fondue Discord. You can just download this model and mess around with it or do whatever. And we've got a whole plasticity section there for training and files and chat as well, and a bunch of like Q&A and other stuff. So come to the Pixel Fondue Discord if you are a plasticity user, and I'll put the link to the Discord in the description. Oh, also you can get 10% off of plasticity if you want to buy it, or if you're just using a demo, if you want to buy it, you get 10% off with the code Pixel Fondue, and I'll put that in the description as well. Okay, well, yeah, we're getting there. We've got this part and this part and this sort of battery housing here. Now let's make these little pieces in between right here, sort of get this middle part finished up. So back in plasticity, I think I'm going to, yeah, we'll just keep everything visible for now. Let's look at it, press 1, look at it from the front, and then maybe turn the grid back on for this. So click our little icon up here to see the grid. And I'm going to click on our corner rectangle tool here. In fact, I'm just going to hold it down and select center rectangle. And I'm just from the center here, I'm just going to drag out and drag down and just sort of make a rectangle that's sort of just slightly narrower than our cylinders. So something like this, and hit enter and then press 1. Now you can't, unlike modeling in polygons or subdivision surfaces, I can't adjust vertices on solids, right? So if I go to the vertice mode here and I try to select a vertice on a solid, it won't let me do it. But I can adjust the vertices on curves. So I select these 2 guys here, press G for move, drag down like this, something like that, about halfway down that cylinder, just eyeball it, hit enter. Now I've got this rectangular, closed rectangular curve here. And you'll notice it's slightly filled in. And so when you have a closed curve in plasticity, it gives it a sort of semi-transparent blue color. That means it's sort of, you can select that as if it's filled, as if it's a sheet, and do things like extrude it or do some other operations. It's kind of a nice little selection shortcut. For instance, I don't need to turn this into a sheet first if I want to extrude it. I can just press 3, select it, and then just pull it out, right, extrude it. Even though that face doesn't really exist yet, it's sort of a pre-face inside this closed curve that I can select and do an operation on. Sort of a pre-selection. It's a nice feature. It's a really nice idea. I don't have to turn it into a sheet first. I'm not going to extrude it yet, though. I'm going to continue to work on this. So I'm going to press, again, the period button to make sure your rectangle is selected, then press the period button to isolate it. And let's press 1 to look at it from the front. And over here, I'm going to click and hold on the circle and go here to 3-point arc. And then click once on that point and once on that point for point number 2, and then just drag up like this. And that's point number 3, and then hit enter, and there we go. Now we've got a rectangle and an arc. So let's press the T key for the trim tool. It's also the scissors here. This is my favorite tool in all of plasticity. I'm going to chop away this guy right here. So I press T, I've got my scissors going, I just hit the grid to make it easier to see. I'm going to chop that middle guy apart there, hit OK. I still have 2 curves. I have the arc and I have this sort of 3-sided guy here. So select them both and press J for join, and it joins them into one curve like that, and just one closed curve. And then, like I said, it has this sort of pre-face here, which I can select and extrude. So press 3, so we're in face mode. Select that blue center, automatically brings up the extrude tool, and I can just kind of pull it out. Whoops, I can just sort of pull it out. Just press Alt and navigate here. You can see I'm giving it thickness now, right? So something like this, not too much. Those little copper plates don't have too much thickness. Hit OK, and now you see we've got this extruded solid here. Our arc is still there as well. We don't need it anymore, so I'm just going to select it and delete it. And then we're in isolated mode, so press period again, and we're out of isolated mode, and there we go. So let's Press 4 for bodies. Select that little panel, this little plate we just made. Press G for move and move it over. Whoops, just press G and move it over a little bit. I'm just going to navigate here. Let's take a look at our reference. Yeah, the arc is just sort of on that inside curve of that cylinder, and then it drops down a fair amount below it. And there's about, I'll say about 16 of them. I'm not going to count them all. Let's just say 16. Let's say 12. Let's do an even dozen. So let's go back to plasticity and look at it from, press 1, look at it from the front, and just sort of move this guy down to the right above that, our curve right there, something like that. Hit OK. And then I'm going to look at it from the side, press 3, G again. Let's move it over like this. It's a little chunky maybe, so I'm gonna press hit enter to confirm my move, press 3 for face, grab this face and just push it in a little bit just to make it a little less chunky. And do you want it, should we put beveled edges on this? I suppose we should. So let's do this. Press, we're still in face mode. So select the front face, hold shift, select the back face. Now to convert these face selections into edge selections, I just press Control 2 and it converts it for me, right? This is a great shortcut. It's kind of like in Modo where you press Alt 2. So in Modo, if you have a bunch of polygons selected, you can press Alt 2. It'll convert all those polygons to edges selection, or Alt 1 to vertex selection. Or you can do a boundary selection as well in Modo. Modo has the best selection operations of any program, in my opinion. But here it's nice. You just press Control 2 and it converts that like that. And you can see that with anything. So I can select this face and press Control 2. Now I've got the edges there, right? So again, I'll select this face, hold Shift, select this face, Control 2. I've got both edges. All right, so the fillet tool comes up automatically. Let's just do, again, I tell you not to micro fillet, and here we are micro filleting everything. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Just a little bit of a fillet there. Hit OK. And now we're going to clone these guys with an array tool. So press, let's just select our guy here. We'll call this, let's double click and call it, I don't know, electro plate. We'll just call it that. And I'm going to go on the x-axis here. So press the 3 or the little x up here in the view cube. And this little 4 square rectangular array tool, click that. And you'll see this little line here. Now you'll see a magenta line to make sure it's on white. You don't want it tilted like this, right? So you can either press X to keep it on the x-axis. So I just press X and hold that. It's not going to go up or down. And just kind of get it to the end here. Not quite, I don't want to quite snap it to the end, but kind of like that. So click once, and now we have a tool handle, so we can adjust it if we want to. This is still live, so we can adjust that. What we want to do is adjust the number. Now you can type in a number down here, or you can use your mouse wheel, hold shift and use the mouse wheel, or if you use a Wacom like me, I have my little spinny thing on my hold shift and my little spinny thing here. And I could just click and get to like a decent density. It looks like, maybe 20 or so, maybe let's do 16, something like that. And then hit OK. And there we go. And we've got those guys in the middle here, right? So yeah, we're making some progress. We've got this piece here, this piece here, this middle piece here. We've got all these guys in the middle here. And so we can either work on these batteries at the back, or we can do this front nose cone here. Why don't we do the nose cone, and then we'll do the batteries at the back. And then we can either start, do this bottom part or start detailing some of these other parts out. Maybe the bottom part after that. So yeah, okay, so let's go back to plasticity. I'm gonna just Control S, save it. All of these little electroplates, now if you shift click and grab all of them and Control G for group, it'll put them in a group. You see this group up here? We'll just call these electroplate group. We'll leave that for now. Now, one of the things in plasticity you have to keep in mind is I can't just merge all these things together into one item because they're not touching. It's not a solid. Now, if I was in Blender or Modo or something, or Maya, you can have polygon islands, right, in one sort of polygon object. They don't have to be touching. But for something to be a solid, it has to be watertight. You can't have little pieces floating about in space into one item. It truly does have to be solid. And so these guys are going to have to be their own individual items here for now. And we'll get back to that, later in terms of if we want to consolidate them, there's some things we can do. But we'll just group them and keep them there for now like this. Okay, so let's go to the nose cone. There's a couple ways we can do this. Again, there's a couple of different nose cones on this thing. Let's actually look at this piece again. I don't really like this little brass edge here. So let's just do this metal tip here. Maybe we'll do something after that, but just this metal piece. Now, there's a couple ways we can do this, and this is the sort of an example where you might want to use a revolve, and also I'll just sort of do a revolve. If you want to do it that way, then we'll maybe just do the sort of extrude and bevel if you're using Moto or Blender. That sort of method as well, and Plasticity works. So let's do both of them. I have problems with something like Revolve and Plasticity because it doesn't maintain a connection between the curve and the solid. You have like one shot at it, then you have to, if you don't like it, you delete it and adjust the curve, then revolve again. But let's just do it just to check it out. So again, I'm going to press 3, so I'm looking at it from the side. And I'm going to come over here to my line, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. We can maybe turn on the grid if it helps. And I'm just going to start drawing from the edge here. So just a line like this, and then down a little bit, then maybe in, and then down, and then out. And I'm just going to do this really quickly, but I guess I'm showing you what I wouldn't do before I show you what I would do. Something like this, and then again like this. If I want to get to sort of the middle of this guy, yeah, I'm just going to actually click on the middle here like that, and hit enter. And the reason I do that is I want to make sure I'm in the center point of this cylinder. Then I'm going to press 1, and I'm going to select this one vertex way over here, and G for move, and I'm just going to move it back over like that, and enter. Okay, I just wanted to make sure this was snapping to the middle. And then you can actually use the fillet tool to smooth these edges out. Like I can come in here and grab these two and press B, and just either get a rounded fillet or a hard chamfer on there. I'll just do a little rounded fillet there, and maybe round this guy out a little bit. Round this guy, B, press B, round this guy out a little. Something like that. Looks like maybe one more here. B, and round out that a fair amount, like this. Now, if I want to revolve this, let's press 2. So I'm in curve mode and select my curve. And then down here, there's the revolve icon. So click that. And I'm just going to click and sort of drag in and just sort of define the plane, and it'll do it for you, just like this. Actually, on the side mode, let me just look at this again. In the side mode, you may just need to click because it knows what axis you're doing. So click revolve. It'll sort of snap to that end point there and click, and just sort of drag to your right or your left, and it'll just define that axis for you like that. Hit enter, drop it, and there you go. Now there we have our end. And the problem is that's not really the shape I want. And in something like Moto, I would be able to go back to my curve and start adjusting the curve, and that shape, that revolved shape, would just follow along with it. There's a procedural connection between the two. And most CAD programs operate that way as well. What makes Plasticity different is you're working with these parametric surfaces, like these solids and these NURBS sheets, but it's not maintaining a history, a connection between these two, which allows you in some ways to work really quickly. But and this is a situation where some of these tools like Revolve, it's more of it handicaps it a little bit, right? So I don't like that. So I'd have to go back and like delete my revolved guy here, and then adjust this stuff a little bit. Like I think this stuff is press G, move it across like this, and make it shorter, and then press 2 for the curve, and then revolve. Sort of click and swipe to the right, and there we go. And again, that's closer, but maybe isn't exactly what I want. And I just think it's a pain in the ass. So I don't really want to do a revolve. All of that just to show you, I guess, how the revolve tool works if you want to work that way, but that you don't have that connection, which you may be used to. So I'm going to delete those two things. I'm going to do this a slightly different way. All right, so let's press 3 to make sure you're in face mode and select the face in the back of our front power cell there. And Shift D to duplicate it. So now we have a 2D sheet that we duplicated and automatically brought up the move tool. So we can just move it forward just a tiny bit and hit OK. And then I'm going to press period. I keep saying plus, but period. Period to isolate it. You see we're in isolated mode. And then 2 for edge. I'm going to select that inner edge. I'm just going to delete it. And now we have a solid sheet there, a 2D sheet. So let's press 3 and select our sheet. In fact, actually press 2 and select the outside of the sheet. And then I'm going to press period again to unisolate it. And you'll see that in this 2D sheet, when I have the outside edge selected, it doesn't give me the fillet tool. It gives me the extend sheet tool. And I can just sort of extend the sheet, right? I can make it smaller, make it bigger, make it a little bit bigger. So there's sort of like a lip going up from above that back power cell like this, then hit OK. And now I'm going to press 3 and I'm going to select that guy. And then I'm not going to offset the face. I'm going to press E and I'm going to extrude the face. So pull it out, extrude it. You see that it's blue, and that means it's going to do a union with anything it's intersecting. We're going to want a new body. This is fine. It's not touching anything else. So if I hit OK, it'll just make a new body. It's not going to meld with anything else because it's not touching anything else. We moved it forward a little bit, but just get in the practice of hitting B for new body like that. And then, you can adjust the extrusion. It's just a little bit, right? Just a little bit like that. You hit OK. Now we've got this new piece here, and we've got, again, it didn't get rid of our sheet. Our sheet is still there, so we've got our body or solid right here that we just extruded, and that sheet is behind it. We don't need that sheet anymore, so just delete it. And let's just select our extrude here, and double click, let's call it nose, and then let's press period to isolate it, and let's just sort of do a little bit of what we call beveling and insetting in Modo. We'll just do this in plasticity. So O for offset, we're going to bring it in just a little bit like this, and then enter, and then automatically gives us the offset tool. So we'll bring that out a little bit like this, a decent amount, enter, O again, we're going to offset it some more, like maybe like this, enter, and we're going to push it in just a little bit like this, and then O to offset again, enter, and we'll just use that offset face tool that automatically pops up to pull it out. So we're just making this little indentation here, right? Like this. And then here I'm actually going to pull it out a little more. And see this little circle? If you drag on this, we can sort of grow or shrink that offset face there. Whoops. It gets a little unwieldy, but just small amounts, right? So you could grow it out and just sort of go around the radius of the circle, just sort of like don't pull your mouse way one way or the other, sort of circle it around, right? So sort of circle, in a radial motion, move your mouse around. You can kind of go out and in. I'm just going to go in a little bit like this and hit enter. And then we're going to, again, O for offset, and just push it in. This is our barrel, so just a little bit like this, enter. And then this last face here, I'm just going to push it all the way to the back to make a hole through it. And enter, and we're kind of done. All right, so let's press the period key, and you can see we've got our sort of nose here, right? So I think it might be a little too much. I can grab this face here. Let's grab this face and this face, these two faces here, right? And I'm going to push them both back a little bit. Enter, maybe this one even just a little more like that. Okay, I think that's good. So grabbing, pressing 2, let's grab that outer edge here. In fact, let's just do all of these at once. Let's grab these 4 different curves here. We're just gonna do a nice little rounded fillet on those, hit OK. And then this one here, maybe match it, just click to match like that. So it's a nice little round on that side. Hit OK. I don't think I need to do I guess we could do this one again. Just click to match the round there. Okay. And then on the inside here, I suppose we could do the same thing. Just click to match like that. Hit OK. All right, looks pretty good. Getting there a little bit. Maybe this needed to be a little bit bigger, but I think that's okay. We can go back and do some more work on detailing this in a minute. In fact, why don't we add a little bit of detail? This looks really plain to me right here. Let's add some grooves on that. So again, let's press 3 to go to the side, and then Shift A will give us this line tool here. I'm just going to click, drag down, Enter, Shift D to duplicate that and move it over a little bit like this, and Enter. So I've got 2 lines there. I'm actually going to do this twice. Let's put them a little closer together. Let's make some grooves. So we have 2 of these lines here. So move 1 here and Shift D. We've got 2 more lines right here. Enter. And then I think I can imprint all of these at once. So let's see if I can do that. So select this curve and let's select all of these. Let's see if we can imprint all 4 of these curves at once. So select all 4 of these curves. Shift I for imprint. Select the body. And yeah, we've got all 4 of those curves imprinted at once. Hit OK. Let's go ahead and delete our curves here. And then let's press 3 for face and select our 2 little faces that created from imprinting those curves. And we can either push, depending on what you want to do, you can push them out or you could push them in. I think I'm going to push them in. Get sort of more classic ray gun looking style here like that. Hit OK. You can chamfer or fillet those if you want. I'm just going to leave them. So that's just a little more detail on there. And then we'll create, again, just a little more detail on this big, flat, ugly, plain sort of face here. And we'll do that by creating these little ridges here. So let's go back to plasticity. And again, I'm just going to go to side view. And what's a good way to do this? Let's do, oh, I know. Let's just do, let's create a rectangle. So click and hold and go to the top, and so it says corner rectangle. And then on here, I'm just going to click and drag like this and just slightly intersecting, create a rectangle there and hit enter. So we've got a rectangle like that. And then I'm going to grab, press 1, and I'm going to grab both of, I think I'm just going to grab, well, let's grab these 2 vertices at the back, control vertices, CVs, and let's move them back actually to intersect that lip and hit enter. And then grab this one in the front and press B, and we're just going to bevel that guy or fillet so it's nice and rounded, kind of like this. So now we've got a nice rounded sort of thing intersecting there. Press Alt and go back into perspective mode. If you want to center this guy, just press like the question mark key and it'll center it, right? Which is kind of a useful keyboard shortcut. It's like Shift A or something in Moto. Now we're going to extrude this. But we're going to extrude both sides at once. So press 3. Let's get our pre-selected face that doesn't really exist, but sort of does, that sort of blue thing there. Click it. It goes to extrude, and if you pull out, we're extruding it, but if you hit tab, it'll extrude both sides at once. So something like this looks pretty good. Hit enter, done. We don't need that curve anymore, so delete it. Select our extruded piece here, and I'm going to press the period key just to isolate it real quick, and I'm going to grab some edges here. I'm just going to chamfer, fillet these guys a little bit, I think. All 3 of these, or 6 of these edges here. Let's just get a nice little fillet or chamfer, fillet or chamfer. I was going to say fillet, but I kind of like chamfer. I kind of like this. Kind of like the combination of rounded here, then flat here. So hit OK. And then let's press period again. And we've got this guy looking pretty good. Let me go to, I'm in edge mode here. Let me see if I can grab, let me press period. Again, we'll select our extruded guy, press period, and let's see if I can press 2 for edges, grab these back. I don't like the partial selection in plasticity. I like it much better in Moto. In Moto, if I do this box selection, it'll only select the edges that are within the box, so it would only get these 3. It wouldn't select all these guys here and these 2 here, the partially selected ones. That's so annoying to me. So I'm just going to select these 3 guys here, G for move, and move it up a little bit like that. So it's angled like that. enter to OK, period to get out of isolation. That looks pretty cool, I think. So let's select our go to 4 for bodies and select that extrude body. And then we're going to do another array, but we'll do a radial array this time. So click on radial array, navigate so you can kind of see the center of this hole here, and click in the center, and it'll just do the array around the center like that. And then again, you can hold shift and do the thumb wheel or type in the number or you know, whatever looks good to you. I'm going to do like a dozen of them like that. And hit OK, and they're all here. Now, again, you can see that they're all their own item here. But because we made them that to intersect this piece, I'm just going to select all of them, including the nose. I'm going to press Q for Boolean, and then again Q again for union. And you can see they're all blue, and it's just going to make it one big solid out of all of them. Hit OK, and it's all one big solid. Double click it, call it nose, and there we go. We've got our nose here. Looking pretty good. Control S for save. And yeah, let's move on to the back battery packs now.
Yum, yum.